What's up, guys? It's your boy Double A, aka APT, and I am back with another music review, this time for the brand new Michael Jackson album, Xscape.
Xscape.
Now, as you guys know, when an album drops on the streets, I like to review it for you to let you know whether you should buy it, download it, or leave it alone altogether. This new album comes 4 years after Michael Jackson's last album, Michael, which was the first album to drop full of new material after his death in 2009. Now, when that album came out, there were some controversies with it because there was a lot of voice modulation going on, and there were people that were claiming that some of the songs were completed by a guy that sounded like Michael but wasn't really him. I personally enjoyed the album, but there were songs in there that at times felt like they were overproduced, and the album didn't really have like a completely cohesive feel to it because there were a lot of different producers on it. And at times, honestly, it felt kind of like a Michael Jackson mixtape. Like, oh, let's pull out this song and hope that they all work together to make one kind of album. So for this album, they shortened the amount of songs from 10 to 8 songs, and they brought in Uber producer Timberland to oversee the proceedings. And in my honest opinion, what we have here is an album of 8 songs that it just sounds so freaking good. Any doubts that you had about this album being a good album due to the last one, you need to erase those out of your head like right now, okay? The fact that they brought in a main producer to work on all the songs means that this album collectively with the 8 songs that are there actually sound like they all fit together very, very well. They picked the best of what was left of Michael Jackson's vocal tracks from various songs and used them on this album. So there's great layering of each song with Michael's vocals, and it doesn't sound like another person. It sounds like Michael Jackson on this album and not somebody coming in trying to do retouches or finishes, all right? The proceedings for this particular album are very, very upbeat, and again, that goes to Timberland and his wonderful, wonderful set of producers who've decided to add in drums and snares and, you know, all the standard trademark Michael Jackson sound that you want to hear there, from the hee-hees to even the song topics. You know, you have songs about finding love. You have songs about children.
Do you know where your children are? Because it's not 12 o'clock.
You have the typical Michael Jackson gangster song. And all of these songs have been updated to where they sound like they could fit in a 2014 time. In fact, Timberland's production on this album is so good that even some of the songs with weaker lyrics actually end up sounding a lot better just because the production behind it is so good that even if the words aren't necessarily carrying the song, the beat is still making you feel like you want to just vibe and dance to it. There are 2 versions of this album coming out, all right? You have the standard version, which just has the 8 new tracks, and then you have the deluxe version, which comes with the 8 new tracks, as well as the original versions of those 8 tracks. I actually think that it was a smart idea on the producer's part to release a deluxe version with the original versions of these songs intact, because for years there's been this argument which purists like to put out there when an artist dies and they have new tracks coming out. They always say that it would just be a better idea to release the original tracks as they are instead of trying to update them. They said this with Tupac and Elvis and everybody that's had a huge influence on the culture, because they feel as though if their artists were alive, they would release the version that they recorded while they were alive and not a new version with all these new beats and sounds that may not go with them. So since I was able to get the deluxe version, I was able to hear both the older versions of these songs and the new versions reworked by Timberland's team of producers. And I gotta tell you guys, I am so happy that most of these songs got reworked, because honestly, the older original versions of most of these songs are very, very boring. For example, let's take a song like Love Never Felt So Good, okay? Here's what the original version sounds like.
Baby, love never felt so good, and I'd die if it ever could.
And now, here's the current version reworked with new sounds.
Baby, love never felt so good, and I'd die if it ever could.
As you can see, the newer version, it sounds more lively, more upbeat, more exciting. It's like you're ready to get on the dance floor and dance. And this is what Michael would have wanted. Michael enjoyed making songs that people could dance to, and more importantly, that he could dance to on stage. Now, that's not to say that he didn't make like softer songs or things that have more of a mellower mood, but the majority of what we know him for is for moonwalking, it's for dancing, it's for and all that stuff. So to not have that on the album at all would have been totally terrible. And while the lyrics themselves that are on these songs are the exact same, if they had kept the original beats for all these, it would have been a very different album. Like with the way Timberland did it, it's a very upbeat album, it's exciting, you want to dance, you're ready to get your groove on. Had they decided to just release the songs as they already are, for one, a lot of the songs didn't have completed beats, or they were beats that were purposely demo beats that were meant to be built upon later. So the beats themselves are just kind of like very, very slow, or you can tell they're not finished in certain parts. And secondly, the lyrics that they took to make these new vibrant songs were actually taken from songs where the originals were just kind of slow and mellow. And again, given what we know of Michael and how we remember Michael, having 8 songs where it's just like really kind of melancholy and kind of slow, it would have made for a disappointing album. Like, it would have been more like Michael Jackson acoustic versus Michael Jackson entertainer, dancer, singer, and innovator. So like I said, the majority of the songs in their original versions just weren't my cup of tea. And for you purists out there that enjoy, you know, being able to hear what an artist's work originally sounds like, it's there for you to hear, but I promise you, it's very, very boring. Except for the title track. Now this is interesting because the title track, Xscape,
Gotta get away from the system rules of about the head. Escape.
was the only song where the original version, to me, outshined the current version made. Now that's not to say that the new version that they made isn't great. I mean, it's still got that boom bass and that bells and whistles, but something about just the way the original one intro with the prison sounds and him escaping out of jail and running and having better breakdowns and, you know, the flow of the beat and stuff like that. Like, that was one where they could have kept the original version and tacked it on to these new versions, and it would have been absolutely great. So, what is my overall opinion of the album? Should you buy it? Should you download it? Should you not get it all together? This actually is worth the buy, but it's worth the buy only for the standard edition. Like, if I were to recommend what you should do in order to get this album, I would recommend buying the standard edition and then downloading the original version of Xscape, as well as the reworked version of Love Never Felt So Good featuring Justin Timberlake.
Ooh, baby, love never felt so good.
All the other old ones you don't really need and they're not necessary. So my overall rating for the Xscape album, the newer version of the tracks, I give it a solid 8. It's great, you'll be dancing to it, you'll be vibing in your car, you will feel good. In terms of the older version, let's not even disrespect Michael by giving it a rating. Let's just say stick with the standard edition. All right, that's all I got for today. Thank you for checking out this review. I am Double A, and I will catch you guys when the next album drops. I'm out. Peace.